Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies coming at you with another painting tutorial. This time it is on the glorious Space Marine Dante, the oldest living Space Marine to serve in the Imperium. An absolute behemoth on the battlefield, a venerable leader of so many campaigns, and one of my personal favourite characters to ever read about in the books. He very much deserved his time in the light, which I feel is being slightly overshadowed by the Return of the Lion, but man, neither here nor there. So we're going to paint him up here today. The one they did on the website is a little bit too bright for me. I like his armour to look a little bit more antiqued, a little bit older as it is thousands of years old, and I hope you guys will follow along and enjoy me doing that. Before I get into it, I just want a huge thank you to all of my active patrons. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to continue doing what I'm doing. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much. If you're interested in getting involved in my Patreon, there are links to it below. Benefits include a private Discord server and an extra video every single week. So that's 52 extra videos a year. So there's never been a better time to get involved. Okay guys, without further ado, let's get Dante painted. Okay, and here's Dante in all his glory. I have sub-assembled him. I've basically taken him to this point, and then his big jump pack and his head are on separate little pieces, so I can get at them nice and proper. I'm a huge Blood Angels fan, although I'm not a Blood Angels collector. After Devastation of Baal and books like that, you really do see the value in the Blood Angels and how cool they actually are. So I sprayed all the parts black. Now from here you guys can brush on Retributor Armour Gold as your first step. I have a can of Retributor Armour Gold, so I just gave that an overcoat. If you ever wonder why I spray black and then spray gold, trust me, it makes a huge difference to the actual tone of the gold. I really don't like the look of Retributor Armour Gold sprayed directly over plastic. It's far too bright. It looks like a lemon in my opinion. This much darker and gives it a much more of an antique gold look, which is what I really want to see when I look at a suit of armour like Dante's. From there, we moved over to Leadbelcher and just started to base coat in some of the other details in the miniature. So for him, he's got a couple of grenades on his pouch, some of the details on his pistol, and then of course the blade of his beautiful axe are all done in silver. There's some pipework on the sides of his helmet, and then of course he's got a couple of details on his jump pack. So you just want to basically go around the model trying to find all the different parts. Now when you get your hands on your model, it will be on the Games Workshop website, so you'll be able to look at the 360 of the miniature there, and see all the different bits and pieces. It's a really helpful tool. Once all the silver is blocked in on the miniature, we're going to move over to Black Legion to get at his undersuit. So any of the other parts, this is the bit that will kind of break apart the gold. It's basically in between each armor panel there should be some kind of Black Legion placed, and this is the soft seals of the armor. This is a really huge advantageous thing that Space Marine armor has, especially if it's all this one color like gold, to help break it up. I've also done the trim of the shoulder pads and the casing of his pistol there as well in the black color scheme. From here we moved over to Flesh Tear's red contrast, and we're going to use this to put a base coat on all the red parts. So the tabard that flows between his legs, the handle of the axe, and then of course his right shoulder pad is also not gold, it is bright red to unify him as a member of the Blood Angels, not that that's in any doubt. These are all slightly different tones of red in the final result, but that is okay because you can just layer them up slightly different later on, but just to get an easy quick base coat on it, this works a treat. Shoulder pads looks like something 1000 Sun would wear currently, and that's not where we want to finish up, so don't worry. As I'm painting this, I am going back and forth between the jump pack and his head and making sure any details that are the appropriate color are getting painted at the same time as this. I used the best white that I have, which is the ProAcryl Bold Titanium White, and I got basically a base coat on all of the symbols that are due to be white. So his beautiful teardrop winged motif across his chest, his shoulder pad, there's symbols on the sides of his pistol, the back of his axe. He's basically got these beautiful symbols everywhere. Apart from gold, he is just covered in these stamps that denote him as the king of the Blood Angels, I guess. You can use any nice white that you have, anyone that you have preference for. I unfortunately haven't found much success with the Games Workshop one, hence why even when I'm doing a Games Workshop tutorial, I tend to lean away from it a little bit and go to the ProAcryl White. Caliban Green base coat is used for the laurel on his helmet. Once again, another simple detail. Works a treat as a nice base coat for green. It's nice and dark, but it's a nice solid coat. And then you can highlight it up to your heart's content later on. whatever shade you think is appropriate. After that, we're going to go over to Zandri Dust, and then the other details we're going to do with this are all of the purity seals and ribbons. So he has quite a large purity seal or ribbon, whatever you want it to be, hanging off his hip. There's one coming off his pistol, and a few others around the model. So just basically have a look through. He's also got on the red shoulder pad, he has almost like a name tag thing. So that's done in that same color as well. With all those base coats applied, it's now time to shade the model. And I went for a Reikland Fleshshade and applied this to the entire miniature. At this point, I've said this before in videos, people may be screaming, thinking, what the hell is he doing applying Reikland Fleshshade to this entire miniature? But please hold your judgment until the end of the video. I promise you it does work out really well. And I'm really proud of the Dante that I do produce. It does act as a really nice shade for reds and golds. Even the whites, it's okay. And the crevices, those, we're going to be highlighting them again. I've done it on all of the helmet and of course the jump pack as well. All shaded down, highlighted and ready to go. And while all the shade is drying, I actually based the miniature up. I did my normal Martian scheme, which I do for all of my Adeptus Astartes army, so they all match in. So if you want to play a large scale game, they can all match in. I'm not going to show you how to do this, but there is a video that I can link at the top of the screen now that will take you to that basing video if you're curious. Okay, after the shade is thoroughly dried, I dry brushed the miniature Leadbelcher, really lightly, trying my best to catch all of the gold, but it's going to hit everywhere else as well. That's totally fine. We're going to be layering up all these parts anyway. And with the dry brush technique, it means that even when we hit the parts we're not supposed to hit, we're going to be hitting their raised surfaces, which is where the highlights are due to go. So it's totally fine. This is a super quick and effective way of painting gold armor. If you watched any of my Custodes videos, you will know the same thing. But I'm using a small dry brush, and I am trying to be a little bit more targeted. Same thing on his face and the backpack. But I'm not done with Leadbelcher there. From there, I will go in with a fine brush on Leadbelcher and go in at some of the other details to basically layer up. So anything that was Leadbelcher earlier, that may need a slight more of a highlight. I'm going to go in with, like I said, the fine brush, so the handle and the rest of the details on his pistol, the axe of Mordecai, and any of their silver details like the grenades don't want to be kind of tinged with Leadbelcher or with Reikland Fleshshade. So going in and brightening them back up is just a quick and easy step. You can see how nice that gold looks already. I really don't like the really bright, gaudy gold. Like, this armor is supposed to be ancient. And I think it should reflect that. It shouldn't be yellow gold, if you know what I mean. It's definitely not the style that I would go for these guys. And of course I will paint up some sanguinary guard whenever I do finally get around to doing my Blood Angels to lead, for Dante to lead around, and they'll be done in the same tones. Khorne Red was then brought in to layer up all of the red bits. So for instance, the tabard that goes between his legs. And as you can see, I'm being careful with the layering job, leaving all of those recesses nice and shaded. And like I said, with the dry brush of silver, it hasn't gone into any of the recesses. So when I highlight over this bit, it's covering up any mistakes that I made and giving me a nice, clean result. The same color was used to highlight the handle of his axe. Take my time and basically highlighting each of the bumps on the handle. And the same with the shoulder pad. Not trying to hit any of the Zandri Dust bit that I did earlier. We're going to jump over to Corvus Black now and highlight his shoulder trim and of course the casing on his pistol. We don't need to go into the undersuit part. I just left that as it is. If a little bit of silver dry brushing caught the ribs of that, that's totally fine. The armor seal is not exactly really soft rubber that's susceptible to, it is still an armored piece of the armor. So it's okay to be a little bit silver. He also painted inside of his neck armor with black as well, just because, yeah, basically when you look down his neck and stuff, you don't want to see gold. Okay, the model's really starting to come together now. Carrick Stone is what I used to highlight the cloth material and all of the purity seals. I think it is just a giant purity seal on his hip when I'm looking back now. Of course, Dante gets the biggest purity seal. him being the boss of half the Imperium. I always paint these in the same kind of direction with each brush stroke. It just gives you that a kind of parchmenty look, cracked old paper. From here we're going to go to Mephiston Red, and this is to make the shoulder pad jump up another tone. Obviously the Mephiston Red we did before, or the Khorne Red we did before, is far too dark for Blood Angel's shoulder pads. But we will leave the axe and the tabard underneath that nice dark red. It's just this shoulder pad that's going to get that extra stage. Definitely making it feel more like a Blood Angel shoulder pad. After that, I'm going to go in with that pure white again, whatever pure white you like the most. And this is the, I suppose the most technically advanced thing that I do when I'm painting this, is I've just got a really fine pointed brush. I'm using an extra small Artificer layer brush from Games Workshop, really fine pointed brush. And I'm painting each individual wing strand on all of the motifs and all the bits and pieces like that. Basically just layering up those. But you got to take your time and be careful with this. Like I said, this is going to be the general lord of your army if you include Dante. And this is going to be the focal point of him. So we're talking about one of the main focal points of your entire army. So it is okay to take your time and spend some time getting this right. Now, if you feel like you cannot get this right, your hands are shaky, or you just don't have a nice enough brush or anything like that, it is okay to go back and do a little bit of dry brushing on it. Just really carefully over it with the white. And you can touch up any of the gold around it later on. As for his helmet, I'm going to go to Warboss Green and highlight the laurel that we did earlier. This is the same basic technique, but it's not nearly as hard to do. And just highlight all of the leaves. So you leave the base of the leaf nice and dark, and about halfway up the leaf, you paint from there to the tip with the Warboss Green. That gives you this really nice finish. I am going to invest, or need to invest, in a higher zoom lens for when I'm painting smaller parts like this. I don't know how easy it is for you guys to see it when I do that. From here, we are going to go to Blood Angel's Red Contrast, and we are going to paint all the teardrops that are on his armor. They're all in the middle of those white armor pieces. So once again, this is one of those times where you need to be super careful. But the bold titanium white, if I make a mistake, I know I can go in and touch it up with that. But we don't want to have to do that, so let's try and be careful. So all the teardrops around his armor. From there, a bit of Talassar Blue was applied to the axe of Mordecai to make it look like the power axe that it is, the glowing effect. And then I painted a little bit of it into the turbines or the jet engines of his jump pack as well. Hope you guys don't mind that the jump pack hasn't been appearing. Like, I'm basically following the same steps, you know, to paint the gold, and paint silver, white, teardrops, and it's all transferable from every other part of the video to this. So here is all the different parts of the miniature fully painted up, and now I get to finally assemble it as a solid piece, and I was super pleased when I got to glue this all together and see Dante in his full glory. You can see how he is truly one of the most epic heroes of the Imperium. I am like trying to resist the urge to paint up some Sanguinary Guard right now to go with him. I have no need for them right now, but I want to so bad. Here's some final shots of what he looks like in some high resolution pictures. Like I said, I'm super proud of the final result of Dante. I hope you guys are too. I hope if you were nervous about painting him before, that you can basically get him done now. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe, guys. Okay guys, and there we have it, a Dante painted up and ready to lead some Blood Angels into battle. My Dante will probably end up in the head of a Flesh Tearers army, but don't tell anyone that. Thank you guys for watching to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a like. That really does make a difference to the videos. Ask me any questions you want in the comments below. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please take 2 seconds out of the day and smash that subscribe button if you're enjoying my content. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one.